Good morning. I entitled the reflection this morning, "Please Sir, can I have some more?" Most of us in the UK will be familiar with that line. It was a line that Oliver Twist said in the book written by Charles Dickens, where they were all crowded into the cafeteria in the workhouse and they were all given a limited amount of food. But Oliver Twist, he was new, he didn't know how they did things there. Comes out with this famous line, "Please sir, can I have some more?" And the person dishing out the food kind of goes ballistic, and then the person in charge of the workhouse goes ballistic, to use my paraphrase of it. But I like that idea of Oliver Twist, that he was not satisfied with what he was given. He was willing to challenge the norm. He took a risk in front of everyone else. And as I reflected upon that, it reminded me that Oliver Twist was a little bit like Peter. And this story that we're very familiar with, if you read the Bible, if you're a follower of Jesus, found in Matthew chapter 14, verses 25. The context of this is Jesus has said to his disciples, he sent them on the way in the boat, and it says, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's the ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. And just before rushing on, just imagine this. Kind of enter into this story. There's a spiritual discipline called Lectio Divina, where it just means to read a passage 2 or 3 times and imagine, choose a character in the story and imagine you're that person. And imagine you're Peter or one of the disciples. There's this kind of like storm going on and you see this ghost, and they believed, that those who had died in the lake would sometimes kind of come back to take you. And so not surprising, they were scared, witless about what they were seeing. And then they kind of realized it was Jesus. And then Peter says, "Tell me to come on the water." And Jesus said, "Yeah." And then Peter got out on the boat and began to walk on water and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, it says, he was afraid and began to sink and cried out, "Lord, save me." And then Jesus ultimately did save him. And they went back to the boat. I don't know about you, but I don't know if I would have been brave enough to step out on the water like Peter. Recently I was talking about this passage with a friend, and they kind of said, well, it was easy for Peter. Peter was invited to go out on the water. But Peter didn't ultimately walk on water because Jesus invited him. Peter ultimately walked on water because Peter asked if he could be invited. And there's a subtle difference there. A subtle difference of heart, of attitude in relation to the other disciples. Jesus could have just kind of said, walking on water, and said to all the disciples, "Come, when you walk on water, this is your next part of your training." No, Peter saw something and he desired something more. He was like, I want to be with Jesus. I want to be what Jesus is doing. I will ask. And that invitation to come on the water from Peter, what caused Jesus to reply and say yes. I think Jesus would have been pleased with the request. He would have been pleased that Peter, like Oliver Twist, wasn't satisfied with the norm, wasn't satisfied with what he could see all around him, what other people said. This is the way that we do things. This is the way that we do our lives. This is the norm when it comes to healing. This is the norm when it comes to God impacting our communities. Or something in Peter that says, "Please, sir, please, Jesus, I want more. I want to do the things that you're doing." And that touches something in Jesus, and he says, yeah. And God has always wanted that us to have that desire. Can I have more? We're told in Psalm 2 verse 8, "Ask of me and I'll give you the nations as the inheritance." And sometimes we feel bad if we ask for our neighborhood. Jeremiah 33 verse 3 says, call on me and I will answer you and I will show you deep and unsearchable things you do not know. There's always been that aspect and desire in God's heart. He says, ask me for more. Why do you ask me for so little? So let us be people that ask God for more. Let us ask to be invited into those places and those situations where he is walking on water. Let me just pray. God, put in us a heart that says, can I have more? May we not be satisfied with the norm. May we not be satisfied with what is happening around us, however good that may be. Because God, you are invited into the more. And we say yes.